As a child, I viewed malls as enormous playgrounds where I could partake in scavenger hunts with my friends and play hide and seek while my parents shopped. Little did I know that one incident would instill a lasting fear of malls in me, persisting into adulthood. Over 2 decades ago, the tale I'm about to share unfolded. In my early years, I resided in a bustling city, characterized by its expansive urban landscape. Amidst the presence of malls, schools, and subways, the city's evolution also left behind traces of the past. Antique buildings abandoned and scattered throughout its expanse. One of which was a vast mall that was only a few feet behind our playground. One day, amidst an intense round of hide and seek where I found myself among the last players, my competitive spirit surged. Determined to secure a unique hiding spot where nobody could conceive of finding me, the abandoned mall emerged as the ideal location for my cunning plan. Swiftly, I made my way towards the mall, aiming to evade detection throughout the journey. Upon arrival, I began scouring for an entry point. The 3 main entrances to the mall were securely sealed. However, my eyes caught sight of a small, cracked air vent positioned at a reachable height. I crawled through the air vent, navigating the confined space to gain entry into the mall. Once inside, the allure of exploration eclipsed any thoughts of the ongoing hide-and-seek game. My curiosity took the reins as I wandered for nearly an hour, delving into the remnants of the once dynamic stores, cosmetics, clothing shops, and even a barber shop. I could find everything. However, one store seized my attention more than the others. It was a clothing shop that, despite the passage of time, felt remarkably new. The glass remained unscathed, the doors inside were still closed, and 3 mannequins in the front donned clothes, a surprising sight, resembling huge toys in my young mind. Moving on from that captivating store to explore the rest of the mall, I found myself just a few feet away when a sound of shattering glass reached my ears. Startled, I decided to exit the mall, but unfortunately I found myself unable to recall my entry point. I was terrified as I was walking around the entire mall looking for an exit, and quickly my imagination started playing dirty games on me as I started hearing some footsteps behind me. The footsteps precisely mirrored my rhythm. They commenced with every step and ceased when I stood still, creating an illusion that they were my own. However, they resembled more the echo of wooden soles striking the ground. As I was still questioning where I came from, screaming desperately for my friends to find me and get some help, I could spot something that stood pretty far away from where I was. As I took the time to examine it, it was surely one of the mannequins I'd seen earlier. But what was it doing there? And how did it get outside of the store was what I couldn't really understand. As much as I walked around, every time I looked behind, the same mannequin would be standing, the same distance separating us, and that's when I really freaked out. I started running around the mall crying and yelling on the top of my lung asking for help, and that mannequin seemed to follow me everywhere. As a desperate way to prove that, I faced the mannequin and started walking backwards, and it was only a short while for me to bump into something. As I turned around, what I've seen terrified me. The same mannequin was standing there. I quickly turned towards the mannequin that I was trying to surveil the entire time, and it simply wasn't there, and that's how I knew for sure that this mannequin was surely alive. However, something about the mannequin's pose really captured my attention. It was different than the one I've seen in the store. This time, the mannequin extended its index finger, pointing in a specific direction. Upon following its indication, I realized it was gesturing towards the vent I had used to enter the mall all along. I hurried towards the vent, and this time, there were no accompanying footsteps, nor did the mannequin trail behind. I swiftly leaped outside of the mall, carrying a tale that will forever linger in my memory. I never thought I would find myself alone in the woods at night. I had always been afraid of the dark, and being lost only made it worse. It all started when I decided to go on a hike with my friends. We were supposed to stick together, but I wanted to take some pictures of the beautiful scenery. I wandered off on my own, confident that I could find my way back to the group. But then I saw a bird, a dark and menacing bird with glowing red eyes. It seemed to be leading me deeper into the woods. I should have been scared, but something about the bird drew me in. I followed it without thinking, my curiosity getting the best of me. Before I knew it, I was completely lost. The sun had set, and the only light came from the moon and the stars. I tried to retrace my steps, but everything looked the same. The trees seemed to be closing in on me, and the sound of my own footsteps echoed through the silence. I couldn't hear my friends' voices or the rustling of leaves anymore. My heart was beating out of my chest as I walked aimlessly through the woods. I started to panic, my mind racing with all the horror stories I had ever heard about people getting lost in the woods. I imagined a monster lurking in the darkness, waiting to pounce on me. Every rustle of leaves made me jump, and every shadow seemed to move. My phone battery was dead, and I didn't have a map or a flashlight. I was completely alone and helpless. I thought about shouting for help, but the thought of attracting attention from whatever was lurking in the darkness stopped me. I stumbled upon an old abandoned cabin, and for a moment I felt relief wash over me. But as I got closer, I could see that the windows were shattered and the door was hanging off its hinges. It was not a place I wanted to be, but I had no other choice. I needed shelter for the night. Inside, the air was musty and the floorboards creaked with every step. I found a small room with a dilapidated bed and a desk. I laid down on the bed, telling myself that everything would be okay, that my friends would find me in the morning. But then I heard it, whispers, soft and eerie. I sat up, my heart pounding in my chest. I couldn't see anyone or anything in the room with me, but the whispers continued. They seemed to be getting closer, and I could sense a presence in the room. I couldn't take it anymore. I ran out of the cabin, not caring if I got lost even further. I stumbled through the darkness, branches scratching at my skin and my breaths coming out in short gasps. Just when I thought I couldn't run anymore, I saw a faint light in the distance. It was my friends, and they were looking for me. I sobbed with relief, grateful to be out of the darkness. I never went back to those woods again. But even now, I sometimes hear the whispers in my dreams, a constant reminder of the horror I endured that night. It was my first time babysitting, and I was so nervous. I didn't have much experience with kids, but my neighbor offered me the job and I couldn't turn down the easy money. The couple, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, were heading out for a fancy dinner party, and I had to watch their 6-year-old daughter, Lily. When they left, Lily was already asleep, and I was grateful for the few quiet hours ahead of me. I decided to make myself comfortable on the couch and watch some TV. But as the night went on, things started to get weird. The TV kept turning on and off by itself, and the lights flickered. I tried to brush it off as bad wiring, but then I heard a child's laughter coming from upstairs. I was too scared to investigate, so I just turned up the volume on the TV and tried to ignore it. But then I heard footsteps running up and down the stairs. I thought it must be Lily, but when I went to check on her, she was still sound asleep in her bed. I was starting to get really scared now. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I heard a voice whisper, "Play with me." I froze in fear, and then I saw Lily's doll, sitting on the floor with its head turned toward me. I screamed and ran out of the room, almost tripping over my own feet. I wanted to call Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, but I couldn't find my phone. I felt like I was trapped in a horror movie. I decided to check on Lily again, hoping that she was awake and could help me. But when I got to her room, she was gone. I searched the entire house and couldn't find her. I was panicking now, thinking that someone had taken her. But then, I heard her giggling from the closet. I slowly opened the closet, and there was Lily, playing with her doll. I tried to tell her that we needed to leave the house, but she just looked at me with a cold, blank stare. She said, "We don't want to leave. We have been waiting for you." I screamed and ran out of the room, grabbing my phone on the way. I called Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, and they rushed back home. When they arrived, everything was back to normal. Lily was sound asleep, and there was no sign of any strange occurrences. I tried to explain what happened, but they just laughed it off and said I must have been watching too many horror movies. But I know what I saw and heard that night. I never babysat for the Thompsons again, and I couldn't even look at Lily without feeling a chill run down my spine. I learned my lesson: never take a babysitting job without asking for all the details, and never underestimate the power of a child's imagination. I will never forget my first and last babysitting experience.
The wind howled through the ruins of the abandoned church, once a center of faith and now a dwelling for shadows and unsettling whispers. Its history was shrouded in mystery, fueled by legends of macabre events and supernatural presences that haunted the residents of Willow Creek. Clara, a young woman with an insatiable thirst for knowledge, had always been drawn to the dark allure of the church. Along with two trusted friends, Rita, a scholar of local legends, and Clark, a rational skeptic always ready for adventure, she decided to explore the abandoned building. As they crossed the threshold, an unreal silence enveloped them like a shroud. The air was thick with dust and a pungent smell of mildew. Their footsteps echoed in the deserted aisles, while the dim twilight filtered through broken stained glass, creating a ghostly atmosphere. Every corner of the church told a tale of decay: faded frescoes, mutilated statues, gravestones covered in moss. Clara felt drawn by an invisible force, as if the church was calling out to her. In a hidden crypt, they discovered an ancient book bound in human leather, its yellowed pages exuding an aura of malevolence. Flipping through the book, Clara stumbled upon a detailed account of an ancient black magic ritual secretly practiced by some residents of Willow Creek. The church was just the tip of an iceberg of darkness and terror threatening to engulf them. Who were the true followers of the ritual? And why had the church been abandoned? A series of enigmatic clues led them to an ancient well deep within the crypt. Frantically digging, Clara and Clark unearthed a skeleton with a deep chest wound. The grip of terror seized them. It was the skeleton of a man, perhaps one of the participants in the ritual. Trapped in the church by darkness and fear, Clara, Rita, and Clark found themselves face to face with the unknown. An unsettling sensation of being watched pervaded them. The mystery deepened, and their lives were in danger. The wind whistled through the ruins like a funeral lament. Clara, Rita, and Clark huddled together, shivering from cold and fear. A sudden creak made them startle. A metallic sound echoed from one of the side aisles. With hearts pounding, they headed toward the source of the noise. A rusted iron door barred their way. Clark, with superhuman effort, violently pushed it aside, revealing a dark and dusty room. In the center of the room, illuminated by a moonbeam filtering through a broken window, there was a rough stone table. On it lay a human skull with a strange inscription on the forehead. A symbol Clara had seen in the book. The symbol of the black magic ritual. An ancestral terror engulfed them. An inhuman scream echoed in the church, shaking the walls. A tall, skeletal figure, shrouded in a black cloak, materialized before them. It was the shadow of the ritual, the ghost of an ancient sacrifice. In a panic, the three friends rushed towards the exit, stumbling over debris and screaming in fear. The figure pursued them, its chilling moan reverberating through the aisles. Sheila, a 20-year-old with an insatiable curiosity for the world, divided her days between the University of Letters and part-time work at a neighborhood bookstore. Amidst ancient books and dusty tomes, her mind fed on fantastical stories, fueling her passion for the paranormal. Her evenings were often dedicated to documentaries on alleged ghost sightings and urban legends, shared with her cat Oscar, the sole witness to her screams of terror and nervous laughter. One evening, engrossed in reading a book about haunted houses, Sheila came across a story that struck her particularly. It told of an ancient mirror, once owned by a fallen family, rumored to harbor the restless soul of a young woman. The mirror, now in a local museum, was known to induce hallucinations and terrifying nightmares in anyone who gazed into it for too long. Drawn to the mystery, Sheila decided to visit the museum the next day. The building, once an opulent residence, was now a silent and dusty place. Crossing the threshold, Sheila made her way through rooms filled with archaeological artifacts and faded paintings until she reached the Hall of Mirrors. There, in a glass case, was the cursed mirror. Its golden frame was cracked in some places, and the glass surface was slightly fogged. Sheila approached, observing her trembling reflection. Her green eyes shone with a mix of excitement and fear. She inspected the mirror from every angle, trying to catch details that didn't match her reflection. It was then that she noticed a strange dark spot, almost imperceptible, in the bottom right corner. The spot pulsed weakly, like a sick heart. Intrigued, Sheila approached even closer, pressing her face against the cold glass. In that moment, the spot enlarged, taking the form of a face. It was the face of a young woman, pale, with eyes wide open in terror. The lips moved silently, as if pleading for help. Sheila startled, terrified. She recoiled from the mirror, stumbling and falling to the ground. Her cat, Oscar, rushed towards her, meowing in concern. The girl got up with trembling legs, her gaze fixed on the mirror. The spot had disappeared as if it had never existed. But Sheila knew she had seen something real, something horrible. From that day on, her life changed. She began to have recurring nightmares where the young woman from the mirror pleaded for salvation. She saw her face everywhere, in store window reflections, in puddles of water, even in her teacups. Sheila felt haunted. Her rationality wavered in the face of evidence of a paranormal presence. The only one she could confide in was Oscar, who watched her with his yellow eyes as if understanding her torment. Determined to uncover the truth, the girl began to research the history of the family to which the mirror belonged. She delved into dusty archives and remote libraries, reconstructing the lives of its ancient owners. She discovered unspeakable secrets and forgotten tragedies, leading her to one terrifying conclusion. The young woman from the mirror had been murdered, and her soul was trapped in the cursed object. Sheila faced a dilemma. Should she free the tormented spirit, or condemn herself to a life of terror? Her choice would have unpredictable consequences, not only for her, but also for the world of the living and the dead. Liam and Olivia, both in their 30s, lived in New York, pursuing their dreams. Liam, an economics graduate, worked at a prestigious financial firm on Wall Street. Olivia, passionate about fashion, managed a trend blog with thousands of followers. Despite their hectic lives, they always found time for Tinder dates, the popular dating app. One Friday evening, after an exhausting day, Liam was absent-mindedly swiping through Tinder profiles when he came across a captivating girl, dark hair, icy eyes, and a magnetic smile. Megan, 28 years old, interior designer. Impressed, Liam swiped right. Match! Megan had chosen him too. They started chatting, and the connection was immediate. Megan was witty, intelligent, and shared many of Liam's passions. After a few days of virtual conversations, they decided to meet at a trendy bar in the Lower East Side. The date went smoothly. Megan was even more beautiful in person, and the chemistry between them was undeniable. Laughter, anecdotes, meaningful glances, it seemed like the beginning of something special. When they said goodbye with a passionate kiss, they both knew they would see each other again soon. Liam couldn't wait to tell everything to his best friend, Olivia. They met for coffee, and Liam described every detail of the date with Megan. Olivia listened with a smile, happy for her friend, but with a strange sense of déjà vu. When Liam showed her a photo of Megan, Olivia turned pale. She recognized her instantly, the same girl she had matched with on Tinder a few weeks earlier and had a drink with. The same Megan who then started bombarding Olivia with obsessive and threatening messages when she decided to end the interaction. Disturbed, Olivia warned Liam. Megan wasn't who she pretended to be. Liam, initially skeptical, realized that Megan's behavior was becoming increasingly unsettling. Late-night calls, delusional messages, stalking outside his home. Liam tried to end the relationship, but Megan didn't accept no for an answer. The situation escalated when Megan showed up at Liam's office, screaming and creating scenes of jealousy in front of his colleagues. Humiliated and frightened, Liam turned to the police, discovering that Megan had a history of stalking and violent behavior. With the help of authorities, Liam obtained a restraining order against Megan. She disappeared from the scene, but the trauma of the experience remained indelible in Liam's mind. From that moment, Liam and Olivia decided to uninstall Tinder and all dating apps. They realized that anyone could hide behind a screen, and blindly trusting a stranger could be dangerous. They would seek love in real life, surrounded by trusted friends and authentic human connections. The paranoia haunted them like a shadow. Every face in the crowd, every notification on the phone, every creak in the heart of the night brought back memories of Megan and her obsession. Liam and Olivia had learned firsthand that the real horror doesn't reside in the paranormal, but in the human madness that can lurk behind an apparently innocent Tinder profile.